Welcome to the 2017 Mayor's State of the City. I am Councilmember John Harabedian, and I am honored to be your MC tonight. First of all, I'd like to introduce our council members, and of course, first of all, our Mayor, Jean Goss. Councilmember Denise Delmar. Councilmember John Capocha. Our Mayor Pro Tem, Michelle Arizmendi, sends her regrets. She couldn't be here tonight. I'd also like to introduce our City Clerk, Melinda Carrillo. And last but not least, our City Manager, Elaine Aguilar. To begin tonight's event, I'd like to introduce Boy Scout Troop 110, who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Troop 110 is sponsored by St. Rita Catholic Church. The 32-member troop has a tradition of service in Sierra Madre. You may see these scouts around town and assisting in city events such as the turnaround and hydration point at Orchard Camp for the Mount Wilson Trail Race, Memorial Day flag ceremonies, Christmas caroling at the Kensington, and overnight patrol at the Sierra Madre Art Fair. The current Scoutmaster is Sierra Madre resident Matthew Gallagher. Troop 110, please lead us in the pledge.
Would you please stand for the presentation of the colors? Color guard, attention. Color guard, forward march. Halt. About face. Color guard, present the colors. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard, please post the colors. Color guard regroup. Color guard dismissed.
Thank you, gentlemen. You can have a seat. Now we welcome the St. Rita School Youth Choir, a group of talented performers under the direction of Joseph Augustinsky. The St. Rita School Youth Choir is comprised of students from 3rd to 8th grade. The choir has previously performed at Our Lady of Angels Cathedral and also sings weekly at Mass at St. Rita Church. This evening they will be performing 2 songs. Yeah. Okay. One more round of applause. And to the extent there's any parents that are still here, you do not have to stay for the address if you wouldn't like. But I would like to just acknowledge a few people that showed up after I made my initial introductions. Former mayor, two-time mayor, John Buchanan is here. And Monsignor Richard Krickelberg from St. Rita's is also here. I think he's in the back. But good to see you, Monsignor. And now it is my distinct honor to introduce to you the man of the hour, our mayor, Gene Goss. Gene Goss has been a longtime Sierra Madre resident, and he was elected to Sierra Madre City Council in April 2014. 2 years later, he was selected by us, the City Council, to serve as our mayor. Mayor Goss holds degrees in political science from Linfield College and the University of Southern California. He is currently a professor of political science at Long Beach City College. Mayor Goss has served a variety of leadership roles at the college, including department head, faculty association president, technology committee chair, faculty advisor sponsor to the Political Science Student Association. While on the City Council, Mayor Goss has done a lot. He has served on the Foothill Workforce Development Board and on the city's water subcommittee. He is currently serving on the board of directors for the Los Angeles County Sanitation District. He has served as the council liaison to the police department, Public Safety Committee, Community Services Commission, Library Board of Trustees, and the Senior Community Commission. Before serving on the City Council, Mayor Goss was the Vice Chair of the Sierra Madre Public Library Board of Trustees. For many years, and if anyone's talked to him, you know it's a passion of him and it's close to his heart, he served as a coach and manager and a general volunteer for the Sierra Madre Little League, and has also volunteered with the Boy Scouts of America. Gene is presently a coach for the Sierra Madre Pony League. Mayor Goss's proudest accomplishment is his marriage to the love of his life, his beautiful wife, Lisa. In July, they celebrated their 32nd anniversary. Their son, Maxwell, who's now in 8th grade at St. Rita's, actually sung in the choir a few seconds ago. Mayor Goss's favorite event in town is the 4th of July parade. His hobbies include trout fishing, fitness training, reading humorous fiction and political nonfiction, and following his beloved Dodgers and Trojans. I'll say that Gene, Mayor Goss, I consider him a good friend, a statesman. He brings a lot of nobility and class to the position of mayor. And without further ado, I present to you Mayor Goss.
John, thank you so much for those kind words. My fellow Sierra Madreans, it's my honor to address you tonight as mayor of our wonderful city. But before we get down to business, I do have some thanks that I'd like to get to. I certainly want to thank St. Rita School Principal Joanne Harabedian and St. Rita School Director Joseph Augustinsky and the members of the choir for the wonderful music tonight. And I didn't know what the songs are going to be in advance, but they happened to be two of my favorites. And they did it great, so nice job. I'd like to especially acknowledge one member of that choir tonight, my son Maxwell. I'd also like to thank Matthew Gallagher and Boy Scout Troop 110 for conducting the flag ceremony tonight. Just a fantastic job. I'd also like to thank staff, specifically Interim City Manager Lane Aguilar, for helping me prepare this address, and that was a considerable amount of help, and I appreciate it personally. And finally, I want to thank my wife, Lisa, for always being there for me, for being here tonight. Sorry. Okay, so let's get down to business. They say that the first rule of public speaking is to keep it short and sweet. So that is my goal. I don't know if I'm going to achieve it, so if I don't achieve it, I will apologize right now in advance. John mentioned I am a college professor, and I have a tendency to drone on, and so, but I also like to think of myself as a compassionate man, and so I won't do that to you tonight, I promise. We'll see just how compassionate I am, I guess. Tonight, I will discuss some of the recent successes of the city, beginning with some staffing and financial information, and a bit later, I will address some of the significant challenges we will be facing in the coming year and beyond. I'll finish by explaining why I have much optimism for our future. I'd like to begin with good news. I am pleased to report that the state of the city is sound. We have made significant progress in all areas of city governance over the past year. But before I address the specific areas, it is necessary for me to remind you of some really good news that many of you are already aware of. As of March 14th, the city of Sierra Madre will have a new city manager. His name is Gabriel England. He and his family are moving to Sierra Madre, where they plan to live, from Trinidad, Colorado, where he has been serving as city manager. Gabe, as he likes to be called, has an exceptional educational background and a wide breadth of experience, especially in finance and public works and infrastructure. The City Council believes that he will be a perfect fit for us. We are all excited at the prospect of his arrival. I would again like to thank retired and interim city manager Elaine Aguilar for staying on and being our interim until Gabe could join us. That's been a huge plus for us, Elaine. Thank you so much. Okay, well, now I'd like to talk about the current state of governance activities in Sierra Madre, or to put it differently, or in other words, what exactly will our new city manager be facing as he joins us in March? First, let's look at city finances. I'm pleased to report that the city has healthy general fund reserves. These are, of course, our rainy day funds, or what's in the bank. That doesn't sound like a lot, except if you start looking around municipalities in Los Angeles County and across California, that's not so common. And we on the council have taken great pride in that. Last fiscal year, 2015-2016, the city's general fund ended the year on June 30th with a deficit due to the reduction in the revenue from the city's utility users tax. The deficit was anticipated by the council. We had heard from the public that they did not want services reduced in light of the April 2016 election and the possibility that a new UUT would be approved by the voters. The voters did approve by over a 70% margin the 10% UUT measure on the April 2016 election. But that was 10 months into the fiscal year. So even with the passage of the ballot measure, naturally it has taken some time for our revenue to catch up. Tonight, I am pleased to report that the budget is projected to be balanced for the current fiscal year. I know, we know on the council, that every dime the city receives comes from the work and sacrifices of our citizens. This council has been extremely careful in spending these precious resources the same way we steward our own family's resources. We know you expect nothing less. Additionally, I'd like to go over some of the other financial and administrative accomplishments of our city government over the past year. The city treasurer has evaluated and approved investing of city funds to increase our investment returns. That is big news. We implemented new banking services, reducing bank charges and increased investment returns. The city has provided timely interim and year-end financial reporting. This is the earliest the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, or CAFR, has been completed. In human resources, the city implemented a new HR recruiting software, NeoGov, that has improved the city's recruitment efforts. We now have a 2-year memorandum of understanding, say that 3 times real fast, with the police department, and a new memorandum of understanding with our classified employees. We have also reviewed and updated all city waiver forms and agreements to ensure the city is protected during citywide annual events. Finally, the city completed its ADA self-evaluation transition plan this year, which is another significant move forward. Now I'd like to talk about police. Most municipalities have to rank police as their top priority. Certainly the public does. Our safety is, there's no other concern that's more important to us, and we're no different here in Sierra Madre. We have come a long way since last year. As you recall, at the prospect of the possible contracting out to the Sheriff's Department, owing to declining revenues, almost half our department left for other departments, thus precipitating a true crisis. The passage of the UUT measure last April enabled us to begin recruiting officers, and the slow process of rebuilding the department began. Tonight, I am elated to report that the Sierra Madre Police Department is almost completely staffed. We are appreciative that the LA County Sheriff's Department was able to assist us, but we are even more pleased to have our own SMPD back in action. So I'd like to take a word about the recruitment process, which has been kind of unique and special this year. For the very first time in the history of Sierra Madre Police Department, the city sponsored 2 police recruits to attend the police academy. This has never been done before. One of our recruits was voted to be the honor recruit by academy staff, other recruits and overall standings in the 22-week academy, the top recruit at the academy. Last Tuesday night, the council welcomed in our 2 new dispatchers, our 2 new officers, including the honor recruit, and our recently promoted sergeants. The city council was impressed by all of these department members. I believe the quality of the department will be better than it's ever been before. Also, I'd like to acknowledge the work of the Public Safety Committee, which was formed a little over a year ago by this council. Its members have been extremely diligent, and the committee's work has been extremely helpful in addressing public safety issues, specifically issues having to do with police and with our fire departments. So a few words about our fire department. We now have completed a fire department strategic plan. That is a major move forward. Also, the city purchased, and I'm going to see if I can say this without messing it up, the city purchased and installed 11 new automatic external defibrillators, or AEDs, I like that better, AEDs, throughout the city. This is actually good news. The buildings that received the AEDs were the library, the lobby and the fire and police facility, the Hart Park House, City Hall, the Yak, and one was placed in each of the 2 sergeants' cars. And as a temporary alleviation of some staffing challenges, the department increased part-time hours for engineers and paramedics. I'll address the challenges facing our fire department later in my remarks because they are significant. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Public Works Department. In case you haven't noticed, they've been all over the place, all over the city for the last year, doing lots of things. One of the things they've been doing a lot of is repairing water main leaks. They've also replaced 3 major water mains on Idle Hour, Skyland Drive, and on Michelinda, and that has reduced some of our leakage as a result. We purchased and utilized water main leak detection equipment to locate leaks before they come to the surface, and Public Works says this has been very effective at actually finding leaks before people are telling us about them by seeing them in front of their houses. We obtained state regulatory approvals to use imported water for groundwater recharge so we could begin to pump water directly from our aquifer into the city's water system instead of putting the water straight into the water system as we had been doing, greatly reducing problems with discolored water. Getting on top of that water discoloration, this problem that came with the importation of water, was a major accomplishment this past year. The department is engaged in an ongoing program to repair sewers and to resurface streets as budget allows. In the area of planning, the city's new general plan, which was completed by this council, is being implemented now. You may have noticed new regulations in the following areas: a demolition ordinance, accessory units ordinance, new R1 standards, and an ordinance regarding group homes. Also, construction has begun on the new workforce housing at the old church property up on Highland. Finally, I'm very pleased to report that we now have full-time code enforcement staff on hand, which is something we've needed for some time. Now, library and community services. We introduced and expanded crossover programs and shared resources between community services and the library this past year. Some of this year's accomplishments include a new field use agreement was negotiated, a senior master plan was adopted, we introduced regular library programming, including science or STEM programming for kids, and we've continued successful libraries such as our very popular One Book, One City. If you look all across the governance activities of this city, all in all, it's been a very productive year in city government with progress on many fronts. Now I'd like to address significant challenges we are facing as we move forward. This is the hard part, but don't worry. Now, water conservation. I know if you've been like I am, I was out the night before I went to, literally 30 minutes before I went to the Friends of the Library wine tasting the other night, I was up with my hand in the gutter in front of my house clearing it out because of that downpour Friday night. And so naturally, we're all thinking with all this rain and all the snow we're seeing that there's got to be some relief in water conservation here in Sierra Madre. Well, I'm sorry to say that even with this significant rainfall, that's not the case. The city's underground aquifer, the East Raymond Basin, has not yet recovered from the drought. So therefore, it is very important, extremely important, that residents continue to conserve water. Toward that end, the city has rolled out new, technologically advanced water meters to assist customers to more closely monitor their water use. Currently, the meters are being offered to customers who slightly exceed their conservation targets. Eligible customers will be notified by a letter from the city. In the near future, we hope to be able to offer additional meters as budget allows. On the financial front, while this year's general fund budget is balanced, and that we're proud of that accomplishment, it is not projected to remain balanced due to increasing costs. The council will soon begin working on a financial plan that looks into the future to figure out what needs to be done so that the city is not continually in this cycle of not having adequate funding for current levels of city services. Obviously, we will need a great deal of public participation in that discussion. Now, with reference to the fire department, one of the financial challenges that I mentioned that I want to get to pertains to the future of our city's fire department. We all think of it as a volunteer fire department. It has a very proud history as such, and I see a couple of people who've been volunteer firemen in this city, and we're grateful for your service. But I'm sorry to say that the volunteer model that we are so used to is simply not feasible much longer. The city's Public Safety Committee evaluated this issue and prepared a recommendation to the council. The council will be considering the recommendation at a March council meeting. And among many options, the recommendation from the committee is for a fully paid career department, departing from the volunteer model, at an additional cost of approximately $735,000 annually. Obviously, this is going to be a big discussion, and we need everyone to get involved in this. Vacant positions. As soon as the new city manager, Mr. England, comes on board, he will begin filling the department head vacancies, including the assistant city manager, the public works director, and the chief of police positions. In the meantime, thankfully, there are quality staff members filling in as interims so that the city's business can function smoothly. Now, a little bit about infrastructure. Maintenance and replacement of city infrastructure remains a challenge. There's a backlog of millions of dollars in maintenance of city streets and water system infrastructure alone. We will be addressing in earnest our water infrastructure in 2 phases starting next month. The council will soon be reviewing a water system master plan that will first identify the specific components of the system that need to be addressed, including the cost required to catch up after many years, let's say it, decades, of deferred maintenance. This will include the many leaking, aged water mains across the city. Then, the second part of the study will be a financial component to determine how to pay for the needed improvements. This will not be an easy discussion, but it's a discussion we have to have. We do not have the luxury of kicking the can down the road any longer. A word about water rates. Because of declining revenues, because of the conservation of our water, we were not able to get as much revenue from our water, and we're seeing our water reserves depleting pretty quickly. In about 2 years, they will be fully depleted. In the next few months, the council will be embarking on a new water rate study. Yes, a new water rate study. Obviously, public participation in that process will be critical. Also, there are state and federal mandates that should be mentioned. These are the things that the five of us sit up there and have asked. We're basically told we have to spend money on this and this and this. And our people are not asking for it. In many cases, we don't want it, but we kind of have to do it because it's coming from either the feds or the state government. Sometimes they send us the money to do it, sometimes they don't. There are a number of them, but the one that should be on your radar are the NPDES. These are the new regulations imposed on municipalities in order to clean up runoff water. Right now, thanks to diligent staff efforts and thanks specifically to Councilmember Capocia, who is our resident expert in this subject, and I do mean that, we seem to be staying ahead of it. The actual implementation of the most onerous components of NPDES could take years to come to fruition. But the worst case scenario we've discussed many times in council could cost the city potentially millions of dollars in cleanup costs and efforts in the not too distant future. So this is an issue deserving of your continued attention, and we obviously want to hear from you as much as possible on this and how you think we ought to be addressing it. There are many other things I could do, and the professor in me wants to go right into a magnum opus, but I'm not going to do it. I'd rather just talk a little bit about the future and talk about the spirit of this community and why I think we're going to have success in meeting these challenges. This year, once again, I have confidence that you all, meaning our people, will pitch in and help the council as it works diligently at long-term planning in the areas of finances, infrastructure, and public safety, specifically the fire department. We need your involvement in this discussion just as much, if not more, than ever before. Even with the challenges facing us, there is much to celebrate as we look ahead. We have a dedicated staff of employees who will continue to do many of the thankless jobs that is easy to take for granted. I want to take time right now to thank each and every one of them for their dedication to our city. Our citizens, you, the people of this city, proved last year, through your activism and involvement in our budgetary crisis, that you are among the most public-spirited people of any place in our nation. The unique nature of our town is constantly on display. Sierra Madre Boulevard was as packed as it ever has been during the 4th of July parade this past summer, thanks in large part to the efforts of our citizens on the 4th of July committee. The Mount Wilson Trail Race entries keep selling out earlier and earlier each year because of Sierra Madreans' dedication to making that happen. Even during a torrential downpour last Friday night, you came out in large numbers to support our library at the Friends of the Library wine tasting at Alverno High. And those of you who weren't there, just know we literally had people holding umbrellas over us so we could be there. Sierra Madreans are bright, resourceful, energetic, and, most importantly, are infused with this special Sierra Madre volunteer spirit that makes this such a special place. Where will you find more volunteers than in Sierra Madre? Think of all the people now serving or who have served on our city boards and commissions. Some of them I see here tonight. That rose float that keeps winning medals, I see Dave and Bonnie Culture here, that doesn't build itself. It takes lots of people, lots of hours to do that. Little League, Pony League, and Girls Softball League, in case you didn't know it, are bursting at the seams. It takes many people, countless hours for these opportunities for our children to be realized. I see Pete Sibrel tonight. I'll bet he had the folks up on Mount Wilson Trail this weekend working on damage from the storm, armed with pickaxes and shovels. We have amazing volunteer organizations everywhere you look in this town, making vital contributions. The Civic Club, the Women's Club, the Historical Preservation Society, the Sierra Madre Community Foundation, Kiwanis, Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, and others. This is the true nature of our people in this little slice of heaven we call Sierra Madre. Motivated by this amazing spirit, working together, I believe we can accomplish anything. I can assure you that every member of your city council appreciates what this town is all about and shares your vision of a beautiful, vibrant, sustainable Sierra Madre, now and in the future. In conclusion, I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to serve you as your mayor. It has truly been an honor. And I'd like to thank my colleagues on the City Council for trusting me with this position. I say this with great sincerity, that working with all four of them is an honor and a privilege. I want to thank you all for coming tonight and for watching on TV, and God bless our beloved Sierra Madre.
I'd like to thank our mayor for that helpful talk and invite everyone for refreshments in the back. Thank you very much for coming.